Hello and welcome to jasonnewland.com. My name's Jason Newland. Please, only listen when you can safely close your eyes. So this is Let Me Bore Your Pain Away. It's basically just me wobbling on about various things that can hopefully help to reduce the physical sensations of your chronic pain. Ultimately, I guess it's just, it's very base. It could be a relaxation session. Just a distraction maybe. And only listen, of course, I said when you can safely close your eyes, but also with the permission of your doctor, because you do need to know the cause of the chronic pain. You need to know the cause of the pain, basically, before you listen. And I would advise that about anything, any kind of real-life therapy as well. Find out the cause first, before you get any kind of treatment. Although this isn't treatment, and this is not a replacement for treatment. This is just middle-aged Englishman just talking. That's all this is. If it helps, brilliant. And I hope it does. But I'm not a replacement for anything else. The only thing I could really replace is, if you had a really boring friend who you used to talk to or listen to, because let's face it, maybe they just talked at you, and maybe they've moved away and you don't have contact with them anymore. I can be a replacement for that. Some boring person who talks at you. Or if you've got someone that, likes to eat all your chocolate, and maybe they're not around anymore for whatever reason, I can replace that person because I do. Oh, I love chocolate. I could go on, but I won't. I was going to say, if you've got someone that maybe that you don't see anymore that had a really weird beard, that's me as well. I'm thinking of growing my beard like really big, like it was 2020. It was so big, it even scared the cashier at the garage, at the petrol station. Because I was trying to wear a mask, and the mask basically just didn't even cover it. It was just that the mask looked tiny. My head looked massive. And when I trimmed it, she said to me, "I'm so glad you got rid of that beard. I used to get so scared when I'd see you walking up here." I said, "It was just a beard." She said, "Yeah, but it was just so wide." I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Like you were knocking things off the shelves." Exaggerating a little bit. He said, people keeping their distance here. Not because they had to, it's because they didn't have any choice, because your beard was about 6 foot long. She went on a bit. She went over the top with this. It wasn't 6 foot long. It was quite big. There's actually a video of me on YouTube somewhere. A couple of videos with that beard, and it's really large, like really a big fat beard it was. Some may argue that's not relevant to the recording, and I would say yeah, maybe not. Depends. I might talk about beards. I might not talk about beards. I never know what I'm going to talk about. Oh yeah, so I have a Facebook group, Jason Newland's Boring Group. If you want to get together with other people that like the recordings I do. And you can also send me messages on there. I've also got a YouTube channel where I now post every new recording I do, including all 6 versions. Without music, 5 and 10 hours without music, with music, 5 and 10 with music. So that's the new thing I'm doing. It's just another place where you can listen to my podcasts. And my website, jasonnewland.com. Well, by the way, the YouTube channel is at Jason Newland. And so my websites, all the latest recordings are on there. And whenever, if you would like to ask me a question or submit a question for the upcoming Q&A Friday, which I do every week, then please go on there and you can fill a form in. So it's a tiny little form with your question and your name. That's pretty much it. And I will, whatever questions I get between each Friday, so between finishing the Friday Q&A Friday recording and the next beginning of recording it, whatever questions I get during that week, I will include, and I'll mention your name. I only mention first names, and I'll try and answer the question. Some would argue that I perhaps don't answer the questions correctly, but there is no right and wrong way to answer a question. You might ask, for example, you might ask me, what was the first time I wore a tie, or first time I wore a suit, and I might tell you about a bicycle that I had that got a puncture and I had to push it all the way up a hill. So there's no guarantee that I'm going to necessarily focus on the question. I might get a little bit sidetracked sometimes. I do try and bring it back, but there's occasions when I'm not as focused as maybe some may wish I was. I'm quite happy with the way I do it. But I don't always. I try and answer the questions, but sometimes I get a question that's a little bit like, oh, I have to be careful because, especially if it involves other people in my life, and I can't, if they listen to this, I have to be careful that I don't say anything derogatory, So I have to, but generally, any question, if I can answer it, I will. If I can't, I'll still answer it, but it might be. But plus, I didn't even finish that sentence. Plus, you can ask me the same question every week for a whole year, and you'll probably get a different answer every week. It depends on what my mood is. Depends, and also, sometimes I'll answer a question on Q&A Friday, and I'll be sitting over there afterwards, thinking, especially when it things like, what's your favourite movie, or what's your favourite song, and I'll think, oh, wait a minute, no, my favourite movie's that. This, and I forgot to mention this thing, or, it reminds me, blimey, talk about forgetting. This is a true story. Someone came to me and they had a phobia, or not a phobia, but they just travelling to the airport, because this person was gone on holiday. Travelling to the airport was causing like a lot of anxiety, and the person couldn't figure out why. It's like, I don't know why, and it's like he had a phobia of travelling to the airport. in a car, like to get a taxi, I think, or drove, I don't know. And I was like, okay, have you got an issue with a plane? No, I haven't got an issue with a plane. Is it you got an issue with the people you're going with? No, not really. I mean, I got 3 kids, but you get used to them after a while, don't you? So what? Can't leave them at home these days. Got to take them with you. Okay. And it was like, okay, so like trying to figure it out. She came, and this might have been a hypnosis. I don't know if it was a hypnosis or it was counselling. I can't remember in what words or gummidge head I had on that day. Anyway, after about the 3rd session, she mentioned that she'd been in a car crash on the way to the airport, like about 5 years ago. Quite a serious car crash. Like, okay, it's the dots weren't joining in his mind. I'm saying his and her because I can't remember if it was a bloke or a woman. I've got no idea. Don't care. But they didn't have, like, it seems so obvious. Like, well, obviously, if you've got this issue because something bad happened, something, quite, hard happened on the way to an airport, because travelling to the airport wasn't something that they did regularly. It was like a once a year thing, or twice a year, I don't know. And unless, of course, he was an he could have been a pilot, I suppose. No, I don't think he was a pilot. So it's amazing that sometimes, forgetting things. And it's all about forgetting things. I remember, my chair's falling apart. I keep picking at I've got like a gaming chair. I'm not a gamer. The last time I even attempted to play a computer game, 2005, and somebody sold me their Game Boy, I think it was. Game Boy? Is it Game Boy? What is it? Not the Xbox, but the other one. Is it a Game Boy? So he sold me that, and I was like, I don't know what to do with this. The chair is not falling apart because I've had it for 20 years. I keep picking it. I'm just thinking, if that was my fingers I was picking at, I'd have no fingers left. So yeah, there's been times when I've forgotten about my lower back. See, I very, very skillfully pulled it back to the reason I'm doing this recording, and I'm very pleased with myself. Perhaps I shouldn't have mentioned it, because it takes away the potential cleverness of what I did. But now thinking about it, maybe it wasn't that clever. Maybe it was just too... I kind of get a sense it was like the arrows are basically pointing at the fact that he's now mentioning forgetting. He's going to start talking about forgetting about the pain. That's what you're going to do now, isn't it? Yeah. But not... Oh, I just put my finger in my ear. Just pulled out some earwax. Do you ever wonder, like, why earwax is such a weird colour? See, I have to be careful with my ears. And not because they're so big. I don't get stuck in between buildings because my ears are so big. No, not because they're that big, although they are fairly big. Although, I tell you it's weird. I had a friend at school, and he had his ears pinned back. He actually went and had an operation. His ears didn't even stick out. It's just like... it wasn't even to me that noticeable. You know, it's weird. It's like I thought my ears probably stuck out just as much as his did. But he, you know, he had a thing about it, so he got his ears pinned back. And yeah, I think that's another thing about distraction, isn't it? Is because I'm trying to keep coming back to my lower back. But when I was thinking about my friend's ears, I don't spend a lot of time thinking about his ears, by the way. I mean, it's like back when I was about 11 or 12, so it's, you know, a few years ago. It's over 15 years ago. So I don't spend a lot of time thinking of his ears. But when I was thinking of his ears, I wasn't focusing on my lower back. And you might be thinking, that's because he had such big ears. He didn't. And that's rude. Don't make fun of my friend, who I haven't seen for 40 years. I suppose technically, is he still a friend? I don't know. See, the way I see it, and it's weird, but I left school in 1986. So it's nearly 40 years ago. Is that right? 86, 96, 2006, 2016, 2026. So in a year's time, so it's 39 years. There are people I went to school with who I still have high regard for, and I haven't seen them pretty much since I left school. Like someone called Stefan. I remember his surname, I remember what he looked like. He was tall and he was cool. And I remember him, and he was one of these people. He's someone that I'd kind of want to be like. I was nothing like him, but I would, you know, if I could have chosen to be like anyone, probably in my year, he would have been one of the people I'd chosen to be like, because he was, I mean, he was a man. That's the one thing. He was already a man physically, but he seemed to be a man mentally as well. He was more clued together. He was more sensible. He wasn't scared of anything. He was strong, but he was also nice. You know, he looked out for people, and yeah, it's weird. I'm hoping that the old, I'm not going to say his name, but VINNEEEEE doesn't start shouting because of the conversations, the very loud conversations going on in the garden. Yesterday, man, they were playing music, but I think they were doing it from a phone, so it's just all distorted. From a distance, it's distorted, isn't it, if you hear someone's phone music? And they had it blasting like all day, all day, right till about 11 at night. I was like, what the heck? It was very strange. I hope that's not a sign of things to come. I can imagine I'm going to get a letter. Dear Jason, I quite like some of your Let Me Bore Your Pain Away recordings, but you did one on Thursday, the 17th of April, and it was more like, let me bore you by moaning about stuff. Let me moan at you. And you just moaned all the way through it. How is that useful? It's useful to me, lets me get rid of it. Oh, I feel better now. Oh, letting all the negativity out. Oh. No, I'm not moaning, I'm just pointing out. You want to hear a moan? This is a moan, but it's not really. It's kind of it's a funny moan. I can't believe this happened. I'll tell you in a minute. So, when I was focusing on my friend's ears. To be fair, actually, anything I do when I make these recordings, my lower back relaxes. There's something about my voice I'm not saying that in like, oh, I have such a calm voice. I don't mean like that, but just there's something about recording or doing these recordings that has a tendency to relax me. Sometimes I do feel tired when I make them. I yawn. Sometimes my body feels, well, my whole body feels quite relaxed right now. But my lower back, I'm focusing on it. That's where the old arthritis is in my lower back, left side. And, you know, I'm kind of stretching it. I can feel that it's this, I don't know, you know when you have local anaesthetic, so you can still feel the pressure, but you can't, there's no physical discomfort, but you can feel the pressure. So if a dentist is doing stuff, or maybe you're having stitches and are giving you local anaesthetic in your hand or your foot or whatever. I had it when I had ingrown toenails sorted once, had a local anaesthetic. And it's weird, you can feel the pressure, but it's like, that's it. It's a bit like that. I can kind of, I'm pressing on my lower back, not hard, just so I can feel it, but it's just nothing. It just feels the same as the other side, really. It's kind of weird. What was I going to tell you? Oh, right, I went out today. So I was in here and I was just doing some. What did I do? Yeah, I was just finishing up with, because I do the recordings and I upload them and after editing them and all that stuff. There was a few bits and bobs I needed to do. One of those things was to add the images to some of the podcast episodes. So I did that. So that took a little while. Itchy bum, sorry. Oh, that's better. The buttock. I should say buttock, really, just in case you think, well, you should go and wash your hands, shouldn't you? I've got trousers on. So I need to cut my fingernails, actually. So I was just finishing off some of the, I would class it as administration stuff, you know, some of that stuff that needs to be done. And I had 2 pieces of chocolate. I don't generally eat chocolate, but on this occasion I had a Dairy Milk caramel, Cadbury's Dairy Milk caramel bar with 2 bits left from last night. But it was warm. And I thought to myself, it seems a shame to not eat it right now. It just, do you know, you ever get that situation where you think, it just seems like the right thing to do. It's a similar, if you're walking down the street and you see someone struggling with, like an elderly person struggling with some really, really heavy shopping, and then you see someone like a young woman who's maybe struggling to do a brolly, get out, you know, maybe her hair's getting wet, so you go and help the young person, the attractive. No, I'm joking. So you help the person that needs help, and it feels like the right thing to do. That's how I am with the chocolate. It's like morally, it felt the right decision to eat that chocolate. It's only 2 pieces. I mean, I lost a stone. Well, I lost a stone and a half. I was going to say I lost a stone and I've not put it back on. I lost a stone and a half and I put half a stone back on. So technically, I suppose I can't really be dancing around doing somersaults, making out that, oh, I'm not good, because I've not put the weight back on, because technically I've put 1/3 of it back on. But if you move away from that, I'm 15, not 16 stone, so that's good. What I'll be by Christmas, I might be 17 stone. I don't think so though. Oh, that bit of metal thing. Honestly, I've got this bracket on this desk. It reminds me, okay, you ever see It's a Wonderful Life? And he's got that banister, like the thing that he holds onto the banister right at the top, the bottom of the stairs, and it just comes off, and he's like, oh, damn banister. And then when he comes back off the pier, and all his family there, and all his friends come to save him financially, and the old man Zion or whatever it is playing, and he goes upstairs to see his daughter because it's Juju, because he had her petal, didn't he, in his pocket. Juju's petal, and he puts his hand on the banister and it comes off like, oh, and he's happy. Where like an hour earlier he was like annoyed, he was like, oh, girl, and now he's like, oh. It was a bit like that. I lost my train of thought there. What was I talking about? I was talking about eating chocolate, and I ended up focusing on a banister on this metal thing. It's like that. That's it. This metal thing on my desk, and it's not like a banister, because that would be weird, because it's nothing like that, but it's something that's just annoying me, and I wish I could do something about it, but that would involve effort, and it's just there. I just need a screwdriver, but I lent my screwdriver to my neighbour, and my neighbour never basically gave it back. I don't know what the was going to be. Repeated, reported, reprieved, returned, that's it. Never returned it. Oh, I've got an email. 3 reasons to rejoin Disney. Exclusive original blockbusters and binge-worthy series. New releases added every week. Personalised recommendations based on what you love to watch. Oh, and there's another one. We need your money. Recently, things ain't been so good. Disney's had a few problems. We need your money, please. Plus, we kind of did everything we could to ruin the Marvel franchise. I still stick with Marvel, even though Disney really have gone out of their way to destroy it. I don't know why, because that was, I mean, they have the rights. They own Star Wars and the Marvel, all the Marvel movies and stuff. And I don't know, not quite sure why they've kind of done what they've done, and they really need some PR. They need someone to have a word with some of their stars as well, just to be quiet when they're promoting a movie. It's really, I reckon that Snow White, if it got good ratings, regardless if it was good or not, it might be a really good movie. I don't know, I've not watched it. But if it had good ratings, it would have been probably the biggest hit of the year. Even if it wasn't particularly good. Just because it's a Disney movie, it's a remake of one of the most famous Disney movies of all time. And it's got some famous people in it. It's got Wonder Woman, she's in it, isn't she? It just shows you how easily, because of social networking, social media, the internet and all that stuff, it's like they go to town in a stronger way than the national press ever used to. It used to be like a slow burning thing with the newspapers. They'd try and do something, and if everyone else followed, then it'd be good. Sometimes it wouldn't work. They did one recently about, it was Stephen Fry. So Stephen Fry made a controversial comment. Stephen Fry controversy. this is recently. And, oh, he's got another one now. The thing is, I don't know if it was accused of making racist and sexist jokes, or I don't know what it was. Oh yeah, I know what it was. Had been criticised for controversial comments regarding some, quite serious stuff. They posted it, whoever it was, online. No one showed the slightest bit of interest, because he would have been, well, he wasn't cancelled. And it seems like he's above being cancelled. Some people just are above that. Russell Brand seems to be above that. John Tate, or what's his name? Tate, whatever that name is. The bloke. Tate? What's his first name? Tate. Used to be Tate and Lyle. If you put Tate in, generally it used to be like Tate and Lyle Sugar. That's weird. I put in Tate into Google and nothing's coming up other than... Okay, if I just check. Tate Modern Hotels. Andrew. Is it Andrew? I bet if I just put Andrew, it'll probably come up in the listings. And that's a very slurpy word then. Andrew. Yeah. A-N, the first word. Andrew Tate. It's the first person that comes up as soon as I put A-N. So Andrew Tate is quite funny, because what Ricky Gervais said, that Andrew Tate is what a 14-year-old boy thinks a man is supposed to be like. And I thought it was quite funny, because he's not really representative of the male population, I would say. It's kind of a fantasy, kind of, I don't know, it's weird. I mean, see, in England, we saw Andrew Tate years ago, long before he was famous worldwide. Long before, because he was in Big Brother. And I don't know if he wasn't even in, what year was that? What year was he in Big Brother? He don't have cut. What does he say about okay, let's have a look. I want to see some of the rubbish he comes out with. See, I quite like people that come out with crap, because it's funny. But it doesn't, people just say stuff like, it's almost like it was created kind of like a Frankenstein's monster, or AI. They sort of said, okay, create the perfect version of a misogynist, like the perfect version that has every single misogynistic attribute. And he seemed to have come out the other end. I think, I've got no issue with him. I don't know him, but there's a lot of that stuff online at the moment. I watch a lot of the YouTube channels. And I see some of these YouTube channels, and there's quite a few really popular YouTube channels that are so anti the opposite sex. It's ridiculous. I don't understand it. I think women are lovely. Not all of them. But not all men are lovely either. Not all anyone thinks lovely. But everyone's got something good about them. Big Brother 2016. So... And it wasn't Celebrity Big Brother either. No one knew who he was. He was just he had hair back then. He was a bloke, and they kept talking about him being a kickboxer champion. And he was controversial, argumentative, but he was unknown. And he had a weird accent, like a mixture between English and American. He came under scrutiny for previously having made homophobic and racist posts on Twitter. He was removed from the show after 6 days, which producers saying it was because of events outside the house. okay, well, that didn't come up when I talked about that, when I was trying to look at people, for people that had been kicked off of Big Brother. Ah, well. I didn't come on here to talk about potato. So, as distractions, I mean, in some ways, I'd rather have arthritis than be him, So, yeah, it's weird. I don't understand. I do sometimes wonder, how do people get to be so angry, take themselves so seriously? And that is something that can really get in the way of relaxing. I've seen that over the years a lot, where some people just take themselves a little bit too seriously. It's not that they should see themselves as a joke, of course not. But, or sometimes like really earnest people. Let's have a look if I've got the word right. Earnest. The word earnest is defined as being characterized by or proceeding from an intense and serious state of mind. Yeah, serious. I did get it right. It implies seriousness and determination, often indicating that someone is sincere and committed to their intentions or actions. And there's nothing wrong with sincerity, blimey. So it's an amazing trait. And being earnest, if you're climbing a mountain, or you're searching for someone's missing, or you're trying to save someone's life, or being earnest is an amazing characteristic. But in just everyday life, it might not be always useful, especially with physical issues. And I've noticed that I've known a lot of people over the years that have just been very, very, I don't use the word earnest, but serious, very taking themselves serious, maybe taking other people serious, taking their own views really seriously. And I understand, it's probably quite hard for some people to realise that their views are only really important to them, and maybe people that have the same views. But there are millions, if not billions, of people around the world that don't feel the same way. So it doesn't mean that they're right, doesn't mean that you're right or I'm right. We're just right for us. It's our opinion, and it's how we choose to think and live our life. But then when you break it down, how much is it free choice of thinking if we're being indoctrinated into it, being born into it? Because the amount of things that I've probably indoctrinated from living in this country. I mean, when I was, a kid, I grew up. Eventually, I grew up, and there was a certain mindset, a very dismissive mindset to anyone that was out of the norm. People with disabilities were generally, you wouldn't see them. Maybe people in wheelchairs, but outside of that, they'd be locked up. There was the care in the community kind of came in the 90s, where people were allowed to live outside of hospitals. There was a real misunderstanding, it wasn't misunderstanding, it wasn't even attempted understanding of differences. So any kind of difference was mocked. And a lot of the time it was funny. In a way, if you're not the one being mocked. But if you are the one being mocked, it's probably not quite as humorous. And I have been the one being mocked, and I didn't enjoy it. And I learned from that. until the next time I decided to mock someone. No, I don't. Generally, I like to go the other way. So, well, used to. If I see someone mocking somebody, I join forces with the other person that's being mocked and turn it on them, and either coach them on what to say, or just join in and sort of say, and basically be their voice temporarily. Because I've known people that just won't say anything back. They'll just sit there or stand there and let it happen. And I can't allow that. Because I'm earnest. I'm very serious about things like that. Serious and determined. So sincere. I'm committed to my intentions or actions. I'm just trying to learn what the word earnest means. What's that famous book? Earnest. Something earnest. So that is something I've noticed. So you thought I was going to talk about forgetting things. No. Mind you, there has been times when I've just forgotten about my back. There have. I mean, there was one time when I fractured my back in 2 places the week I got Vinny. I had well, it wasn't a walking stick, but it was a very sturdy umbrella with a handle, and I used it as a walking stick just to help me get through, because I was, oh man, that was a very interesting time. And then one day I went out without it, and I forgot that I needed it. And I realised that I was really making a meal of it. I was almost over-exaggerating my limping. And I didn't realise I was doing that until I forgot to take the brolly out. I mean, I wasn't walking normally. I still had a limp, and I was being careful. But it almost like brought me down to earth to realise that, well, if I was able to forget that I needed some kind of support, then I possibly didn't need the support. And then I fell over, so I did need it. No, I didn't. No, I haven't fallen over since. Blimey. That was weird. My friend said, like, we had snow that week. It was the last time we had settled snow. So this is over 2 years ago. 2 years and 4 months. That's the last time we had, in where I live, had any kind of proper settled snow. Where it settled, you know what I mean, like it's there for a few days and that. It all melted on that day. I think it was a Wednesday or Thursday. All melted. It didn't stay settled for a long time. Maybe a few days. Maybe 5 days, I don't know. I lose track. And all I'm doing is just, my friend knocked on, no, he shouted up. It's a bit late at night to be doing that, but he shouted up, "Oh, do you want to bring Vinny down? We'll go in the garden." Logie and Vinny, and I'd only had Vinny literally for a week. That was the first week of having him. So there's a lot of excitement about having him here, and Logie loved him. Vinny loved Luke. He loved Logie. He loved going in and out of that flat. This was all new for him. He was having the time of his life. I guess I think he'd have preferred to be downstairs and to be up here with me. But I think he's given up on the dream. He's settled. I think that's the most I could ever really hope for anyone with me, is just to settle. That's what I was hoping in life, with like relationships. I don't need anyone to fall in love with me. I just want someone just to settle, just to give up looking for something better. That's all I want. It's not much to ask. Oh dear, that's terrible. Oh, Have some water. Got a little delivery earlier. Some food to get me through till next week, because tomorrow is Good Friday. Then it's basically Easter weekend, so I think everything kind of goes back to normal Saturday. Then it's Easter Day, Sunday, Easter Monday, or like a bank holiday Monday. And then things go back to normal Tuesday. So I'm going to be, other than, I'll just be doing what I normally do, really. Yeah, making recordings and watching some telly. I hope to watch some telly over the weekend. I just started watching a movie, but I thought was getting on. It's like, now it's 2:45. I almost feel like I haven't done anything today. It's kind of weird. So I thought I might as well just get on and make a recording. But that seriousness, I have mentioned this before. I'm not 100% sure how to really kind of move. Well, I've been there myself. Sometimes I'm there, sometimes I'm super serious. But generally, I think having, I'm not going to say a sense of humour, because serious people can have a sense of humour as well. I think everybody's got a sense of humour, it's just different for each person. But to be a bit more lighter, to be a bit... Well, what does it take for you to feel less serious? I mean, the fact is, some people have got a lot of serious stuff going on. So I would never really say to someone generally, unless I know them very well, to just try not to take themselves too seriously. But then you can take other things seriously without taking yourself seriously. Can't you? Is that possible? Is it possible to take a break from all that stuff? And because remembering, we get what we think about. So whatever we focus on has an effect on how we feel. I mean, this is just scientific fact. It's not an opinion. I was angry. That sounded quite aggressive. It's not an opinion. It's fact. Ugh. I'm taking myself. I'm being very earnest. That's going to be the word. That's what it's going to be called. Earnest. That's what I'm going to call this recording. Earnest. I'm never going to use the word earnest again after this. It's not one of the words I use. I don't know why. It's just like very old-fashioned. What is that? What was that book? Something Earnest. It's a very famous book. I'm going to look it up. Book. The Importance of Being Earnest. Oscar Wilde. Right, I've never read it. Earnest. Okay, let's have a look. Just going to have a look for something. This is going to be weird. I'm going to ask. Right, here we go. I'm going to ask ChatGPT, do you have any techniques to stop being earnest? Okay, here we go. Let's see what it comes up with. Do you have any hypnosis techniques for stopping being earnest? So although, I mean, recently I've been making recordings and I've kind of focused on some relief techniques and stuff. This is a little bit different, but it's kind of a distraction. I didn't tell you, did I, about the chocolate? Oh, I'll tell you in a minute. Honestly, I'm embarrassed by it. I'm actually embarrassed, and I can't believe no one told me. So this is... Oh, it's giving me a whole... I just want... Oh no, okay. No, it's giving me lots, like a whole thing. I don't want a whole thing. Just if I say stop, just 10 different techniques. Right, I don't want a whole hypnosis script, just 10 different techniques. Just interested because I know some things. I'm so clever. There are ways of... It's about dislodging. It's about moving away from a fixed mind. I'm not reading this off the screen, by the way. I'm still waiting for it to load up. Moving away from that fixedness. I suppose in a way it's like stretching exercises for your mind. Stretching your mind so you have a bit more flexibility. So here's what's coming up with this. The playful observer. Imagine yourself stepping outside your body, observing yourself interacting earnestly with others, but also seeing the humour in these moments. Notice a playful absurdity in being overly serious. Okay, so imagine, here's a good example. I've seen that. I've seen it when, and sometimes it can be. So I've seen people, if it's just like an average joke, sometimes people won't laugh because it goes against their, it's a subject matter that they don't like, which is understandable. But when something makes someone laugh, it's uncontrollable, like real laughter. Something might be humorous, like, yeah, it's funny, but something that makes you just really laugh, proper laugh, that's uncontrollable. That's out of our control. We know what uncontrollable is. Okay, fair enough. Blimey, it's so serious. It's out of our control. So it doesn't mean, so if someone told me a joke about the Pope that made me laugh, doesn't mean that I'm against the Pope or I find anything funny about the Pope water skiing or whatever the joke would be. It's just that it made me laugh, and it caught me off guard. And that's something I think some people struggle with, like, can't laugh at that, can't laugh at this. Well, and old Richard Bandler, he said, with stuff that's serious now, and you're like, one day we'll laugh about this, why wait? Why not laugh about it now? And I'm not talking about super serious, horrible things, but I remember I had a neighbour who had an ambulance called, and this person heard the ambulance drivers or the paramedics joking. And I had to explain to him that it's a natural thing to do. They're not laughing at you. They're not laughing at your situation. Basically, it's a thing called gallows humour. And he'd not heard that because he's young, very, very young, hadn't heard of the term. So I had to explain it's basically they're doing such a difficult job at times that the only way to really cope with it is by laughing at what's going on. They're not really laughing at what's going on. They're not. They find some things funny, but it's a way of coping. It's just similar with, I'm sure, with the police, with doctors, with nurses, with even in counselling. It was sort of, even in a call centre, would laugh at someone, make fun of a customer, or make fun of a team leader that was a bit over the top, moaning and stuff. Just, it was a way of letting that tension out, a way of release. So it's not necessarily that you find it funny, like that you find their situation funny, or you're really mocking them. It's just that it's a way to let out, a way to release. Oh, brilliant, you've now explained humour to us, thanks. No, I'm not trying to explain humour to you. I'm just saying that this is what I told this person, that sometimes people will laugh, but they're not really laughing at you. Now, I still have to convince myself that if I'm walking down the street in my shorts and every single person points at my legs and laughs, they're not laughing at me, they're laughing with me, okay? There's the balloon release. Picture your earnest thoughts and serious feelings as helium balloons, gently letting them go one by one, watching them float peacefully away, feeling lighter and freer as each balloon disappears into the sky. That's just another version of the helium release or the stress release. Another version of that is, you can imagine getting all the things you're concerned about, putting them into a wheelbarrow, pushing the wheelbarrow towards a hot air balloon, ones with the baskets, and then just the basket's got a couple of pieces of wood like a little ramp, push the wheelbarrow in, empty it in there, pull up the side of the basket, and then just cut the cord or the rope that's keeping the hot air balloon on the ground, and watch all that crap, all that stress, all that negativity, discomfort just slowly rise, slowly, and just notice how good it feels. I used to have that feeling whenever I got onto a ferry and I would leave this country. I always felt a relief as I moved away from the shore. Whether it was going to Belgium, whether it was France, Ireland. I think that's the only 3 different places I've been to on a ferry. France, Belgium and Ireland. Yeah, I think that's it. Oh, Isle of Man as well. So 4. I always had that same feeling. Although I wasn't able to watch with the Isle of Man one, the winds were too strong, we weren't even allowed outside. But all the other ferries, it was lovely. It wasn't like in a negative way, like, oh, England, ugh. It wasn't like that. It was just, it was that separation. It was that break, that physical separation of being away from, well, basically I was leaving everything there. I was leaving any worries, any concerns, my past, everything was there, and I was moving away from it. It was nice, it felt nice. It feels nice even imagining it, to be honest. Yeah, it can feel like that sometimes. You can leave stuff, like in the hot air balloon, you can leave the physical discomfort, you can leave that on the shore as well as you move away on the boat. You can leave it at home whenever you go out. There's so many little things you can do that I know it's imagination, but sometimes, if you carried around a little pad with you, piece of paper, I'm not talking about a big pad, just a little pad, just a little, just, doesn't have to be anything big. And you could do this at home as well. But whenever you get a feeling, you don't enjoy, whether it's a thought that you're not enjoying, whether it's a physical feeling that just feels quite horrible, you could write how you feel down. Rip it off the pad, whatever, screw it up, and just put it in the bin. Or if you live around here, just chuck it out the window for the cleaners to pick up in a month's time. What they do with their nappies. Oh dear. Honestly, there's a flat downstairs. There's eggshells all outside the kitchen window, on the floor, outside. What? They were chucking nappies out the front. It's on camera. They've got the other people opposite got it on camera. But how? What part of the brain needs to be turned off to be cooking, and then just chucking empty eggshells out the kitchen window? What part of the brain has to be switched off to do that, or to chuck a dirty nappy out of the the living room window? I mean, maybe we can switch parts of the brain off. Maybe the part for that bit of your body that you want to feel relaxed. Maybe switch that part of the body, that part of the brain off. Just that one small part. And I guess if you think about it, like a traffic light system. So you've got that part of your body, there's green, there's yellow, and there's red. So red kind of means, each colour can mean what you want them to mean. So you can just change the colour. Maybe the one in the middle is, one colour is maybe unpleasant feeling, and then the other colour would be feeling relaxed. I mean, I want to go like, stop, go, and prepare to go. Although in this country, there's something that happens, talking about turning off parts of your brain. When people get a driving licence in this country, they get a part lobotomy, and what happens is they get a part of their brain removed, the sensible part that only really it activates when they're in the car. The rest of the time they're fine, but something happens. So they learn that red is stop, green is go, yellow depends on where you are. So if you're stopped at the traffic lights, yellow means prepare to go, and when it goes to green. So if you're on red, yellow's prepare to go, ready, and when it goes to green, you can go. And if you're pulling up to traffic lights and it's on green, then it turns to yellow, prepare to stop, and it goes to red. Now you might drive up and not know what it is. It might just be on a yellow, so you don't know if it's about to stop or if it's about to go. So you slow down, you become very aware of it. Preparing. That's kind of what it's supposed to be, says the man that's never actually driven a car. I had 3 driving lessons, so there. But what it turned into is, in this country, the part of the brain that gets switched off when you get your driving licence is when you're driving up towards the traffic lights and it's on yellow, what that means to the person in their brain is speed up. Whether it's going to green or whether it's going to red, they don't know. If it's on yellow, speed up. That's what it means if you're nowhere near the traffic lights, but if you see that. If you're sitting at the traffic lights and you've stopped because it's been on red, the yellow, instead of meaning prepare for green when you can start driving again, yellow means go to the driver's brain. So it goes from red to yellow. It means they can just go, and that's not what it means. It means prepare to go. You don't go yet until it goes to green. So something happens to drivers' brains, and it's weird. I just don't know what it is. I guess it's just I don't know. Who knows? I don't know. There's a dial down technique. Visualize a control dial clearly marked earnestness. It was high. Slowly and deliberately turn the dial down, feeling more playful, relaxed, and less serious of each reduction. So I've done the dial down technique in the past, probably quite a few times. But imagine if you just did do that with your level of seriousness. If that's the case, being able to relax. Because this is something I've said for years and years and years. When you're listening to me, let's say if you're lying down or you're sitting down, you're giving yourself half an hour or an hour or whatever time it is to just take some time out and not care about anything. Don't take anything I say seriously, because I'm just talking a load of rubbish most of the time. This is just time out from life. And nothing matters right now. And I try to put this idea forward, and I know it's a weird concept sometimes, because I don't know if it might come across as me saying, nothing in your life matters. And I'm not saying that. That's a really ridiculous thing to say. I'm saying that for the period of time that you're listening to my super exciting voice, take a break from that stuff. Like, literally don't care about anything. Nothing. Whether it's illness, other people's illness, I'm talking anything. Let everything go. If you're able to. Get into that zone of not caring. But not in a way. Of course you still care, but you're taking a break from it. You're having a rest from it. And we all need to put stuff down sometimes. I mean, talking from my own perspective, a few times over the years, I ended up carrying too much stuff, like baggage, stress, tension. It made me ill to the point where I couldn't function and I lost my job. It happened 3 times. It happened 3 times officially, but it happened in the past when I was younger. I just didn't really know what was going on. I kind of a little bit more clued up about what's happening now. And I had to drop everything. And it was a case of like I was not so much juggling, but carrying such a heavy weight of different things to the point where if I just had to let them go. But if I'd have taken a break, this lady the other day, that reminds me, I can't remember the toffee thing, but that chocolate, I embarrassed myself so badly. But anyway, this woman, I saw her again, I think today or was it yesterday, but a couple of days ago, me and Vinny were in the park. We see this lady with these two big, massive bags. They were bigger than she was, both of them. And the bags weren't on wheels, but she was. No, I don't know. She was struggling with the bags. She put them down. And I think she was looking at her hands. So you can see, like, it's obvious that she was struggling with the bags. So after I stopped laughing, I went over to help her. And, you know, Vinny had to pick me off the floor because I found it so funny. I didn't laugh, blimey. So I went over. This is kind of a bit silly. I went over to help her, but I always like the other side of the park. And I was shouting, well, calling out loud, not shouting, because I do have a very loud voice when I shout, so I don't shout. But like, excuse me, bag lady. I realised that probably wasn't a good thing to shout out. Lady with the bags. Excuse me. Wiggy. No, I didn't shout that. But I was trying to get her attention, but she wasn't hearing me. And I'm like, and I couldn't. It seemed like the closer I got to her, the further she got away. One of those visual weird things, you know, that you see on strange movies and cartoons and that. I couldn't catch up to her by walking. But I didn't want to run because I've heard comments about what I look like when I run. Another dog walker told me, I've seen you run. And I thought, wow, you kept that hidden in your pocket. So I was making fun of her, and she said, oh, I've seen you run. And like, oh. So she was holding on to that one for a rainy day. Got me right back. I guess I run a little bit like I probably run the way I look like I run. So if you was to see me, you just looked at me. That's how I run. Yeah, so it's not necessarily a good thing. So I'm walking really fast. Eventually, she puts the bags down. And I say, excuse me, hello. I didn't want to tap her on the shoulder. I didn't want to don't want to touch anyone, but I don't want to startle her or anything. But I couldn't get in front of her because the two bags were there, blocking the whole thing, and there was a car to the side of her, so I couldn't get around. And luckily she turned around. I said, hello. She said, what? I said, are you okay? She said, what's it got to do with you? I said, I wonder if you need so you look like you're struggling with the bags. She said, looks like you're struggling with your belly. It's like, wow, this isn't going how I thought it'd go. I said, do you want me to give you a hand? She said, give me a hand? What do you mean? I said, do you want me to carry the bags for you? She said, doesn't look like you'd be able to carry anything. I don't think even if I empty the bags, you'd be able to carry the empty bags. You're so weak. Okay, none of this happened, but that is what Vinny is telling people. He lies all the time. Things happen because we have such a boring life. He has to make stuff up. So when he meets up with Archie, I heard him the other day, like, he sees Archie. This is Archie's mum that was making fun of me running and stuff. And they were just, he was on the lead, but I was talking to his mum and they were just like taking turns urinating on each other, which was weird. They literally do that. And I heard Archie said stuff like, so what's he been up to this week? I thought, what? Who's been up to? And Vinny said to him, oh, we had some chocolate. You wouldn't believe what happened. He just had 2 bits of chocolate. it was melted chocolate. And I thought, hey, Vinny, stop talking about me. Why are you telling him? He said, because you need to tell the story. You've been talking about it. You keep mentioning it, but you haven't actually told that story about the chocolate yet and how you got embarrassed. You know, you can't keep putting it off. You've been talking for about 3 hours now. And besides, this is supposed to be, let me bore your pain away. You've just been talking about absolute rubbish for the last 7 hours. So it's gone up from 3 hours to 7 hours. Yeah, including this conversation, it's probably about 9 hours. I said, look, so you can't even speak, can you? I said, yes, I can speak. Sometimes I have a bit of a stutter. He laughed, which I think is rude. And I said, look, the fact is, I said to him, look, there's more. Did you ever consider that maybe, even though it just seems like I'm talking about random things, that possibly some of this might be useful, at the very least as a distraction technique, and maybe relaxation and stuff like that? He said, no. I said, why not? Why? I said, look, you've lived here for 2 years and what 4 or 5 months, nearly 2 years, over 2 years and 4 months, and 4, 8, 9, 10, so 2 1/3 years. Why'd you say no to that question? You don't think that maybe I know, that maybe, that I know what I'm doing? He said, no. I said, why not? He said, because I'm a dog. I said, fair enough. I said, well, he said, why are you having a conversation with a dog? I had no answer for him. Movie screen reframe. It's another thing. Imagine you're watching yourself behaving earnestly on a cinema screen, then playfully change the film. Replace serious scenes with humorous, playful interactions, shifting your emotional response to laughter or gentle amusement. I think sometimes just remembering something that happened that was funny is, something you've seen on TV, or something you see in a movie, or something you heard someone say, and just remembering it. It can just be funny. It changes, because when you laugh, or if you find something humorous, it changes how you feel. It changes for all of us, So there's the mirror smile technique. Imagine yourself standing in front of a mirror, looking overly earnest, then gradually see your reflection breaking into a warm, spontaneous smile. Feel the ease and joy this brings as seriousness dissolves naturally. Sounds like a horror movie, doesn't it? So you look in the mirror and your reflection starts laughing at you. Wow. Okay, that's a bit freaky. It might be really good, but that would I would definitely be wondering what was being put in my drink. I shouldn't be making fun of the techniques, but yeah, I think sometimes there's a technique of, it's not my technique, just an old technique, where if there was an incident that you struggled thinking about, because it's just like an interaction, a verbal interaction at work, or something that's just left an unpleasant feeling, you can kind of have that memory, but then, say it's your boss telling you off or having a go at you, or you can imagine behind them like a mermaid dancing behind them, or like all the other managers just like doing a little striptease behind your manager when he's being so serious, and all your, and like just something silly like that. I mean, you can be extreme with it as well, make it even funnier, that make something that makes you laugh. But or you can just imagine that maybe they've just, partially naked, but in a way that they didn't realise. Maybe their zip was undone, and just it could be anything. Just if it makes you laugh. Or imagine them with, maybe every time they talk, a piece of carrot falls on the floor, piece of broccoli, bits of food. So there's like this big pile of food on the floor in front of them as it falls out of their mouth whenever they talk. Or maybe every time they talk, they just shrink. So the more they moan, the smaller they get. And their voice starts to get squeaky. Just little things like that. Imagine a friendly, humorous version of yourself, a comedian or playful inner guide who whispers humorous comments into your mind during earnest moments, making it impossible to remain overly serious. I've had this in the past at the really wrong times. Well, I've just been thinking about the wrong thing, and it's weird. It's kind of strange. It definitely changes how you feel if you start it's kind of just whispering to yourself, like, even if someone's saying something to you and it's all just good and blah 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 blah, or you imagine I bet you need a big poo, don't you? Or you can imagine what they're thinking while they're talking. Say if it's an interaction, I mean, but you can imagine they're thinking to themselves, whatever it could be. I wish I hadn't had that last cup of coffee, and they're needing to go to the toilet, or maybe they've just realised that they've left a big damp patch on their trousers, and they're hoping that no one notices it, but you notice it. So yeah, there's a soap bubble technique. What's this? Oh, and it's going to have something to do with popping bubbles. Visualize your earnest thoughts encased with soapy bubbles. Gently pop each bubble, experiencing the release of seriousness as each pops, replaced by calmness, ease, and gentle amusement. I mean, I'm not quite sure what soap is, but I have to look that one up. Feather touch technique. Picture a feather, gently brushing away seriousness from your forehead, shoulders and chest, softly sweeping earnestness away, leaving you feeling light, freer, and gently amused. I mean, when I called that woman, the lady, caught up with her, and just said, look, I'm not trying to, I'm just I saw you were struggling with your bags. Can I help you pick them? Can I carry them? And she said, okay, thank you. I said, you're going to have to take Vinny though, because I can't do both. And she said, I forget it then. No, she didn't. She took him. I said, can you keep him on a short lead though, because he has got a habit of trying to run in the road. She said, this is more problematic than carrying the bags. And how many more rules are there? I said, no more rules, that's it. So we cheerfully walked back to where she lives. She lives at the end of the road. I didn't know where she lived, but I was thankful it wasn't too far. And that was it really. And I thought, what if only I had done what she did? Is she carried the bags. I think she carried too much. She had too much to carry, and I don't think that was particularly good. I mean, she's fairly elderly, I don't know, age-wise, maybe in her 70s. Elderly, I don't know if that's the right word anymore, but she's probably possibly carrying too much, because they were heavy bags, but she was putting them down, having a rest, then carrying them, then putting them down. I think someone that takes themselves seriously perhaps has a tendency of carrying those bags and keep adding more, and won't put them down, refusing to put them down until they have no choice. So that happened to me a few times, where instead of just putting the bags down and having a break and taking a rest from caring about anything, which again I said it's a weird concept to not care for a period of time, not care about anyone, not care about anything, including yourself, including your loved ones, including the day, including your job, including where you live, including your health, anything. Letting go of all that stuff just for a period of time. And when you do that, there's some freedom there. And things like you physically, you just feel relaxed. There's nowhere else, there's no other way to feel, because it's free, it's freeing. But then the benefit of when you go back, you know, when you I say go back, but when the recording's finished or the session's finished, whether it's listening to me or whether it could be doing yoga, it could be doing meditation, it could be just going for a nice walk, anything where you can just move everything else away and ignore that. Take a break from that stuff. Just don't care about it for a while. And let go of any guilt that you might have about not caring about it. You also got to not care about the guilt. Because ultimately, you're not really not caring. Of course you still care, but you're letting it go. You're having a break from it. You know, it's the same way as you don't eat when you're on the toilet. The two don't really go together. Although the process is kind of the beginning and ending of the process, but, you know, it's two separate things. Some may say, how does everything seems to come back to pooing with you, doesn't it? I said, no. And then I think about it and yeah, it does seem to, doesn't it? Oh well. You've got the laughing stream. Imagine stepping into a warm, clear stream. Imagine, clear stream whose water contains laughter, joy and playfulness. Feel earnestly being washed away effortlessly, replaced by a joyful, carefree attitude. I mean, I think that can be a benefit of dressing up. And I know I've heard that quite a few people that dress up like dressing up, or maybe acting, doing drama, taking on a different role, because they have a break from themselves. Maybe at the weekend they'll go out and they'll be a different person, or maybe even moving to a different place, a new job. It's almost that you get a chance to reinvent yourself. So before I go, I've got to tell you that story about the chocolate. This is so embarrassing. Right. My friend opposite needs his stuff removed. He's got a fridge. He's got I think the freezer needs to go because it's rusty on the outside, and he's now just got this brand new kitchen in. He said, "Oh, but it works." Yeah, but just because it works doesn't mean that you need to keep it. I mean, it's probably about 30 years old, but it's rusty. It's literally rusty on the outside. It's awful. And I'm not sure how safe it is either if it's that old. But we've organised for him to get a new, well, it's a second-hand fridge, but from Del Boy, who's another neighbour who buys and sells stuff. So he's got it in his garage. So we're going to get that when the kitchen's finished in a couple of weeks. So I go for a walk. Oh God, I said the word. I took Vinny out. So I had the chocolate anyway. I'm finishing what I'm doing. I go out, take him out, and just walk around. I must have been out for about, I don't know, half an hour. He was just smelling the grass as he does normally. Did I see anyone? Oh yeah, I saw. There was one man that said hello to him, and he actually said thank you for stopping and talking to me. So that was nice. And then he said, why are you holding your hand out? I said, money. You don't get a conversation with me for nothing. I charge £1 a minute. We laughed. And I think we saw another dog owner. Wasn't a lot going on actually. I took my hat off. So I had my hat on, but it was too warm to have my hat on. The thing is, I roughly remembered saying that to somebody, that I had my hat on, but then I took it off because it was warm. I don't know who it was. Anyway, we come back. He he went to the toilet, got rid of that, picked it up, used the bag this time. Less washing, less soap, And so I get back. And I think I'm just on the way upstairs, and I see the person that takes the rubbish. He's like he like takes stuff and picks stuff up for people and that, big things and stuff. And I asked him about, because I spoke to him before, and I said, can you help with my friend's stuff? So he said, yeah, in a couple of weeks' time. So I arranged that with him, and I said, he may just give me a knock. And then I said, not now. Because I'm not on my head. So he's okay. So I went and gave my neighbour a knock and said, here's what's going on. You see down there? I said, if you come out and just have a look at that van. He spent about 10 minutes coming out of the door. I don't know why he spent so long. I know he's nearly 80, but it's almost like you're moving really slowly on purpose there. I mean, it was like super slow. I mean, guaranteed, if I said to him, oh, the chip van's out there, he'd have moved super fast. Anyway, I just explained to him what's going to happen. That I've organised for him to have the old stuff. He's got a cooker as well that he doesn't use. That's going out. It's old. All this has been there for a long, long time. He's got the same cooker as me, really. And he's got a fridge that's going to go into the same gap as where the cooker was. Because he uses the air fryer. Doesn't need a cooker. So I do that, and okay, everything's fine. He wants to talk about golf, and I'm like, no, can't talk about golf. Because I showed a bit of interest in golf, and he just he thinks I like golf. I don't dislike any sport. I just only interested in boxing. It's the only one. I've got seriously no interest in any other sport. Boxing I know about. That's the only sport I really know about, that I know quite a bit about, and I've been following it since I was a kid. So, anyway, I get indoors. I think the delivery comes. So I've ordered the delivery before I went out. I go back and sit down. The delivery comes, and so I walk outside. Oh no, this is what happens. No, I got it the wrong way around. I come upstairs, the delivery comes. I then go downstairs, help with the delivery. Then I see the person outside. I speak to him about the fridge, because I had Uber Eats deliver me some groceries. And then I knocked on my friend's, at the neighbour's door, explained to him what's going on. In 2 weeks' time, they'll take that stuff and all that. Then we'll come in. Then I came into my flat, put the stuff away. Vinny, he had some treats. He loves them. Yeah, you heard the word treats, didn't you? Sorry, mate. I shouldn't be saying that. And then, as I gave him treats, and I sit down, and I thought, oh, I need a wee-wee. So I go into the bathroom, go into the kitchen. Wow, I nearly said that, didn't I? No, I went to the bathroom and did a wee-wee, washed my hands, and, you know, as quite often I do, I just have a look in the mirror and just feel sorry for myself for a few minutes. I couldn't believe what I saw. There was toffee sticking out of my beard, all over my beard, from the caramel, Cadbury's Dairy Milk caramel. So the caramel middle, whatever, it was sticking in my beard. Because my beard's now too long to even feel it. So it wasn't against my skin, but it was just all dripping down. I couldn't believe it. I was walking around with that on my chin for the last hour. I've been embarrassed before. Many times. Many, many, many times. But this was, yeah. This was wrong. It was just, oh. Anyway. That's it really. I hope this has been mildly helpful. I can't see how it would be, but if it was, then good. If it wasn't, then, well, I hope it was. I got no idea how long I was talking for. It seems like a long time, but then in a way it doesn't. Shall we have a look? According to that, it's 1 hour and over an hour and a half I've been talking. Blimey. So I'm going to go. I'm going to give Vinny another TREEEEEEEEEEET. And that's it for me for now. So thank you for listening. Remember to be kind to yourself, because you do deserve to be happy. And be gentle with yourself. Notice how the way you feel has changed since you started listening to this. And if this is useful and it helps, beneficial, maybe let me know, let other people know. Share the love, man. I sometimes think that it's almost like I'm people's dirty little secret. You know, they found me on a weird part of the internet. It's like, let's not tell anyone else. I wonder if people are embarrassed about me. I don't know. Anyway, thanks for listening, and I will be back again soon. Take care. Lots of love. Bye.